Creatine might be the most research-backed supplement that a woman can actually take, especially if they're trying to lose fat, build lean muscle, recover a lot better, and even support their brain health. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Becca, and in today's video, we're going over what creatine is, how it actually works in the body, why it actually works a little bit differently for women, and exactly which type you should actually buy, or which one is actually worth your money. I'm also gonna go over what the most recent research is actually saying that many people have simply not caught up yet to. And of course, if you are trying to build a body that you can actually maintain, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you don't miss another video. All right, so let's get into the video. But before we go ahead and get into what creatine is and why it's so important for your body recomposition journey, I wanna go over some of the myths that are kind of still floating around the internet. So myth number one, creatine makes women bulky. So the reality is creatine does not build bulk in the gym. It helps you enhance your performance in the gym. So over months of enhanced performance in the gym, that's going to help you build that lean defined shape that you're after. So what we need to remember is women don't have the same levels of testosterone to help you build that kind of mass that you're actually picturing in your head. Creatine doesn't change your hormones, it doesn't change your biology, it simply just enhances your performance. Myth number two, it damages your kidneys. Now this has been studied for decades, and the research indicates that there has been no kidney damage in healthy individuals at standard doses. But of course, if you have a pre-existing kidney condition, it is best, of course, to speak to your doctor prior to taking it. Myth number three, creatine is basically a steroid. Now, what we need to understand is creatine is a naturally occurring compound that is actually found in your kidneys, liver, and even in your pancreas. You can also get creatine from your food, such as fish and even red meat. So it's not a hormone, it's not a drug, it's just simply your body doesn't make or store enough to maximize your performance. And this is where supplementation comes in. All right, so now that we've clarified some of those myths, let's go ahead and explain what creatine actually is and why it's such an important thing to supplement. All right, so let's go ahead and keep this super simple. Creatine is made from amino acids, which are the building blocks of your protein. And your body mainly stores it in your muscles in a form called phosphocreatine. Now think of phosphocreatine as your muscle's emergency fuel tank. So think about when you're in the gym and you're doing an intense workout, think heavy squats, lunges, or even sprints. Your body essentially runs through its primary energy source, which is ATP. And it runs through this incredibly fast. I'm talking about seconds. So this is where phosphocreatine comes into play. It essentially refills that tank for you. And this is essentially so that your body can keep going instead of hitting a wall. So essentially more creatine stored in the muscles means more fuel or energy that can sustain those lengthy, intense workouts. And this is essentially so that you can do one extra rep, more sets, last that extra 20 seconds, and essentially go longer in your workouts without feeling drained or exhausted. This essentially helps you lift heavier as well. And this is why it's so important for body recomposition, because of progressive overload. If you're able to hit more sets, if you're able to hit more reps and even increase the weights, this is going to help you get that defined shape that you're looking for. And this essentially helps the quality of work that you're putting in the gym. The extra weight stimulus is what your nervous system needs to grow stronger and adapt. Now, when you first start supplementing, creatine actually pulls a small amount of water into those muscle cells. And this is the part where researchers refer to anabolic, which simply means creating that muscle building environment. So you may see the scale go up a pound or two in the first week. This is not fat, this is simply water. So don't pay too much mind to this in the early stages, because your clothes will fit better, your measurements will start to improve, and you'll definitely perform a lot better, especially in the gym. All right, so here's where things get really interesting, because this is the part where people tend to skip over, especially when it comes to how women respond to creatine supplementation. For a long time, creatine has simply been marketed towards men. And for that very reason, research has lagged for a very long time for women. But here's what we actually know now. Women actually start from a lower creatine baseline, which means when we supplement, we can get huge benefits. And research shows that women have 70 to 80% lower creatine stores than men do. And we also have 20% lower synthesis rates, simply meaning that our bodies make less of it on their own. And we also consume 30 to 40% less dietary creatine on average. And this is simply because we eat less fish and less red meat on average. But think about what this actually means for our training performance. If we're simply running low on something that our muscles need to perform at its peak and recover properly, or better, I should say, then adding it into our diet is simply going to improve or increase those results at an all-time level. So the lower you start, the more room there is to actually improve. And as women, we simply cannot ignore the fact that we have hormones fluctuating over the course of the month. So this is definitely going to play a role. So we need to understand that creatine isn't just a one-size-fits-all supplement for all women, because our bodies change dramatically over the course of our lifespan. And research is actually starting to reflect this. Think of pre-menopausal women. Research is consistently supporting that there is improved strength and better exercise performance and even faster recovery. Now for perimenopausal women, this is where a 2025 study running 14 weeks found something super surprising for researchers. Not only did women see meaningful improvements in their lower body strength and even their body composition, their sleep improved, which is a huge deal for recovery when it comes to body recomposition. And for postmenopausal women, there is emerging evidence that actually shows real benefits for actually preserving muscle and even bone health. Of course, when combined with resistance training. And in 2025, the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition actually published a landmark research paper, which specifically dedicated to understanding how creatine responds over the course of a woman's lifespan. Now, research also suggests that women actually replenish their creatine stores a lot faster in between sets and in between training sessions as well. And then there's the menstrual cycle connection that no one seems to talk about, or a lot of people simply overlook for some reason. Research actually shows that creatine might actually lower the level of fatigue that you experience, especially during your luteal phase. And we all know during a luteal phase, we typically feel super energy deprived, super energy depleted, which definitely affects our performance in the gym. Our cravings are higher and our motivation completely tanks for a lot of us. So creatine's ability to buffer energy during this period is a huge benefit because it improves our training quality, especially at the time where we feel like our hormones are literally fighting against us. All right, so for the next few sections, I need you to stick around because this is exactly where I'm going to go into depth of how creatine actually supports building muscle and actually losing fat simultaneously. Now, creatine is one of the few supplements that actually has research supporting its effects on losing fat and building muscle simultaneously. So think about it this way. Every time you train, you are sending a signal to your body to adapt and get stronger. And the strength of that signal that you're actually sending depends on the quality and volume of your training. So if creatine is able to give you more fuel to put in that work, put in that quality work, that extra set, that extra rep that you're doing, that's going to help you build that muscle. It's going to help you get a little bit further before you reach failure. But this compounded over weeks and even months increases the total training volume. And total training volume is one of the strongest predictors of muscle growth. A 2024 meta-analysis, which is simply a study that combined the results of multiple trials, found that creatine combined, of course, with resistance training, increased lean body mass by 1.14 kilograms and even reduced body fat percentage by 0.88% compared to simply training alone. And that's simply the body recomposition effect. Less fat, more muscle. Number 2, it protects your muscle when you're in a calorie deficit. Now, this one is huge, especially for women trying to achieve body recomposition, because simply when you eat in a calorie deficit, especially if it's aggressive or even a moderate one, Your body has a natural tendency to break down muscle tissue, especially for fuel. So it's essentially stealing from the structure that you're actually trying to build at the same time. And women are particularly vulnerable to this because of how our hormones interact with our metabolism during restriction or during a calorie deficit, an aggressive one at that. And creatine protects against this by simply maintaining our energy availability in our muscle cells. So instead of our body simply breaking down muscle for fuel, it simply has what it needs to protect itself. Number 3, you recover faster, which is huge, especially for building muscle. Now we need to understand that recovery is exactly where our results actually begin to happen. We're actually building muscle during recovery. And what we need to understand is creatine replenishes our energy, not just in between sets, but between training sessions as well. And what this means for our training essentially is less soreness and the fact that we are ready to go for the next session a lot quicker. Number 4, more muscle means our body handles sugar a lot differently. And this one specifically connects to fat loss, especially for women that have insulin resistance or belly fat that simply doesn't seem to go away. So to simplify this, our muscles are the main place in our body where glucose, i.e. the sugar from our food, gets used and even stored. So essentially, the more muscle mass you have, the more glucose your body can actually pull out of your bloodstream and actually put it to work. And when this actually happens efficiently, this is a good thing because your body is less likely to convert that excess glucose into stored fat, and it's much more able to access the fat that you're already carrying and burn that for fuel instead. So building muscle through creatine enhanced training doesn't simply affect your performance, it actually affects your metabolism as well. So what I need you to understand is creatine is actually a training amplifier, which just helps you have more capacity to train in the gym. All right, so let's get into the types of creatine and how to actually supplement it into our diet. So the only type of creatine that matters is creatine monohydrate. And this is with over 680 studies and a 99% bioavailability, meaning almost all of it actually makes it into your muscles. And the best subtype is micronized creatine monohydrate. It's essentially the same ingredients, but it's just processed into smaller particles. The mix might be a little bit easier on the stomach and sit a little bit easier because it's less gritty. So creatine is essentially taken daily. Creatine works by saturating your muscle creatine stores over time. So it's not a pre-workout stimulant that works in the short term. So missing one day isn't going to completely derail your results, but if you're very inconsistent, you're not going to see or get the benefits of this supplement. And of course, take it with a balanced meal. Remember, we're simply trying to maintain our creatine stores. So let's go ahead and bring this all together. Creatine is not simply a weight loss supplement. It's not simply just for men, and it's not for simply bulking. It's actually one of the only research-backed supplements that actually work towards your body recomposition goals. And one thing I do need you to take from this video is the fact that creatine is an amplifier. You still need to train and you still need to have a proper diet to actually earn those body recomposition results. Because without a protocol actually built around progressive overload, you're not going to see the benefits of this supplement. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to turn on those notifications so that you don't miss another video. And I'll see you in the next one.